Hello, I'm Northern Deer. Hi, I'm talking to you from my car. I'm driving, and I wanted to make this video for all my friends and students because in a few days, actually tomorrow night I think, or after tomorrow, we have the full moon now in the weekend. I think Sunday is the full moon. And I wanted to make this video because there are some important aspects of this astrological event that is important to know in our lives, to remember them, because many times things happen to us and we don't know why they happen to us. Well, everything has some kind of reason. Generally, the full moon is a strong influence, magnetic influence from this planet that many times it is considered to be negative. In ancient times, people were doing rituals when there was the full moon. In these rituals, the purpose was to clean from something lower that they had, like lower emotions, for example, lower thoughts, egotistical thoughts, or thoughts about external world, acquiring something, getting something from somebody else, or finding happiness through some external means. For example, your spouse or your friend making you happy, or your family, or your father, mother, and so on, etc. And when there was a full moon, and generally when there is the full moon, these things can be enhanced in a negative way. What does this mean? For example, we start feeling that somebody is not treating us well, or because the influence of the full moon is in everybody, of course, some issues that we have usually between us and our friends, or our spouse, or our partners, and so on, they start surfacing. Yes, I'm getting a little more vibrating to the energy of the moon, which is my subconscious issues, emotional issues generally. And also the other people around me start doing the same, and the common result, there is a kind of synergy that happens. It can be positive synergy or negative synergy. So in ancient times, for example, the priests would gather the people when there was the full moon and would do a ceremony to open these subconscious issues, express what they have locked inside of them in the more deep departments, and then reveal it and become more free. Also, we know that animals do this. For example, a very good example is the wolf, who is barking at the moon. Yes, and this barking of the wolf is a cleansing of this animal when there is full moon. This is very archetypical, we know this. And maybe we're afraid of this when we see like a wolf barking at the moon. It's like some kind of terror image, or maybe we are afraid of this, but actually we could be afraid from this because this represents our most dark side. So when there is the full moon, if we have dark side inside of us, what is the dark side? Our emotions and thoughts that we don't want to touch, yes, and we try to suppress them all the time. These things are enhanced because the energy of the moon brings this very subtle energy, brings through magnetic pressure these things in the surface. If we don't do this kind of cleansing, and if we don't know that this influence exists,